Hello, my name is Ilon, and today I want to talk about, again, well, my experience, my childhood memories, and this time how it was like religion, well, basically in the Soviet Union. Was it really banned? Yes, of course, it depends. Where in the Soviet Union and when, what year? Yes, being religious was, I guess, quite difficult for a lot of people, and it was not accepted uh, if you were religious. A lot of people, well, could laugh at you or something. But also, it depends what kind of community you live in. For example, in rural Latvia, I guess it was not so. I mean, most of the people were religious. It's not like Soviet army came in and people changed their religious views. No. Um, but some people were less religious, and I don't think it has much to do with the actual Soviet Union. For example, my grandmother, and what I saw mostly that women were religious, men less. And if we went to church, if I saw there a man, I was surprised. For me, religion was some kind of female stuff. I don't know how it is now and how it is actually everywhere in the world. Is it more like a female stuff? I don't know. Maybe it is. But yes, my grandmother, she grew up in a very religious family, and when, when around the World War II time, she was like let's say 20 years old, and when the Soviet stuff started, um, it's not like anything changed for her or for her family. My grandfather, I don't remember him being any kind of religious, but if I talk about my personal experience, oh my god, it was really bad. So my grandmother, my mother's mother, uh, she was quite, how to say it, very strong woman. Let's say it like that. And it was really hard or almost impossible to do something against her and do something against her. So if she had this idea, but maybe it was some kind of like day of some kind of saint or whatever. Maybe it was not a trend. I don't know. No. But she had this idea. Okay, today we are praying, and very often, grandfather, he had to sit with us and do it. I know he most likely didn't want to do anything with that, but if my grandmother said this, he didn't really have a choice, so nobody had a choice, okay? This was really awful. So for me personally, 80s, it was, yes, it was my childhood, it was in Soviet Union, where kind of religion was like, it was not, I don't want to, it was not really, it was not banned or something. We had churches, you could go to the church, you could have even some kind of religious festivities like Christmas. Yes, but for me it was like everything about religion. It was too religious. If my grandmother decided she needs to go to the church because we lived like in this farm and we didn't have a church near and we didn't have a car or whatever, so that was a big day when she decided, okay, usually it was Sunday of course, that she's going to church with me because I was a child, of course. First of all, probably she couldn't leave me alone, and that was in summer. So if you want to ask what were my parents doing, they were working. That was what I remember. Summer holidays. I stayed in the farm, and she decided, okay, we are going this Sunday to church. It was very early in the morning, and she literally stayed there almost all day because yes, she was not able to go to the church maybe every Sunday, or as maybe if she could, she would go every day probably. So she had to compensate the days when she was not able to go to the church. And that was really awful. It was something, I really hated it. It was so boring. Sitting in the church for the whole day. Oh! And of course, for her mission was what? To make a good Christian out of me. But I can tell you, this kind of pro-show, it didn't work. I grew up like hating all that stuff because it was so much forced on me. If not church, then all the other stuff we had to do, and it's not like, okay, if we are not able, if we are not able to go to the church, then we have to pray all Sunday at home at least, or do whatever. Also, well, it still exists, this club. My mother, she still attends it. So it's an interesting thing. It is like this kind of religious club where our, let's say, village, yeah, not village, different households, yes, like families or whatever, have this, or had, I don't know how often it is now, but it was like maybe 4 times a year, 3 times a year, something like that. So these people, these women, these older women, went to one specific person's house. Well, it was kind of like a party, and every time it was a different house. So they did like this rounds. And for example, if we are doing it, people are coming to our house, and we preparing food and everything, putting on the okay, not straight away. It was after the prayers ended. So you are having all these people sitting at the table doing these prayers, and they were collecting also money to give to the church. And after the prayers were done, people were eating, drinking, talking and stuff. And I kinda, what I can say, it's not a bad idea if we exclude that praying stuff. Why not visit people from time to time to talk about something, see other people, because we have neighbors very far away from each other. So it is not like you can meet with somebody every day or once a week or even once a month. So I think this kind of pub was quite interesting, but the interesting part was after they finished all these prayers. Yes, and sometimes we visited other people's houses for the same thing. And yes, it was also in the 90s, I think in the 80s. And after the Soviet Union collapsed, I didn't saw any difference, like more freedom in religion, because in the 80s it felt for me very free. But again, what my mother remember, she said, yes, there were some, well, maybe problems in school. You maybe better don't say anyone that you are going to church because you will be, well, not put into jail, but ridiculed or something. And Christmas celebrations, for example, were like people were not talking about that. Yes, but you could do it, especially if you live in a farm. Who will know what you do at your home in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, nobody really can. But yes, we had neighbors. Kinda still have them. Well, most of them are dead already, but most of the people are dead, yeah. From that time. Uh, and these neighbors, yes, they were. I think not all of them. I think that the older woman, most likely, I don't know if she. I don't really remember her in any religious context. But they were anti-religion, they were atheists, and all people who I knew, like other neighbors, were like, oh, what? Yeah, that's crazy. So it was kind of like weird how you cannot believe in God and how you are not Christian. It was something unbelievable. So yes, what I can say is that religion and being religious was actually, in my area, perceived as something normal, and opposite was kind of like weird. Yeah, this is how it was.